My confession. I should start by saying I am a wife that cheated, got caught. That was almost 4 years ago. Since then, my husband has not had any bonding with me. In fact, he has not touched me in any way. Not even holding my hand since then. I have tried talking to him. I have cried night after night in front of him. I have asked to get us help through marriage counseling. He refuses, says no point in wasting money when the children have not been in the house. I walked it in front of him in an effort to him. This thing I did not even do in front of my affair partner. I have stated in explicit and dirty words that I want him to bad. His response to such talks has crushed me from inside. In fact, I can't think of having left any stone unturned to just get him to bed with me, but he is apparently the proverbial unmovable object. He was not like this. We had an exciting physical life till the discovery of my affair. He says that's why he feels more inadequate. I assured him he is not. It was only me and my selfish desires that led me to seek another man. Only if he will believe me. This gets more difficult due to the fact he and I sleep separately. Since discovery, he asked me to sleep with our daughters. Then he built himself another room where he now sleeps. My husband is very attractive. Men of his age start losing hairs, grow bellas, develop various health issues. But he is slender and athletic with thick bushy hairs. And no health issues even when he is a smoker. You would think he was still 33 to 35. He is one of those rare guys that get handsomer as the years pass by. So yes, I am crazy for him physically. In fact, if he walked in room and asked me to come to bed, I will jump despite how he has rejected me these last 3+ years. I am at a loss. I don't know if I will ever experience the sweetness that intimacy brings between couples. I just can't take this anymore. There is more to the story which will explain what will give a clearer picture of why my husband finds me so disgusting and why I landed in an affair. There is a very weird reason for that. I will write when I have more time. Comments. Have you asked your husband why he is still with you? It's obvious he's checked out of the marriage, and almost 4 years is a damn long time to overcome. How old are your daughters? He may very well be with you for their sake only, and when they come of age, you'll find yourself on the receiving end of divorce suit. If he is attractive as you say, it's likely he gets plenty of female attention. Do you have any reason to think he himself may have a mistress? We'd need more info beginning with the questions above before we could help you whittle down the possibilities, but I must tell you that nearly 4 years of zero intimacy for a man who has his qualities is going to be damn near impossible to overcome. He obviously doesn't want you. Why do you think he stays? Tell him you either want to start that process or you should talk about divorce. Time to fish or cut bait. Stay humble. Don't dare get angry with him. If this is going to proceed, he gets to set the agenda. Ask him what it would take to begin reconciliation. A list of things you need to do. He doesn't have to finish it right away. Let him think about it. Ask him to think about in his heart if he can ever take you back and what it would take for that to happen. Living in limbo doesn't work for anybody. Not you, not him, and not the kids. Trust me, I know. Again, humble yourself. You have no idea the pain you caused him. You were the one person in the world he trusted more than any other. The person he would never think could do something like this. I honest to God wished for so long that my wife had just shot me in the head instead of cheat. It would have been so much less painful. That's how much pain you inflicted. If you haven't felt that pain, there are no words. I can tell you that would give you any idea. Ask him if reconciliation is possible. If yes, then ask for a detailed list of his requirements to begin. If no, then call the lawyers and both of you get on with your lives. By the way, you might also suggest he comes here. He'll find a bunch of us betrayed husbands he can talk to. That worked for me better than talking to shrinks. OP responds. Let me first give the reason for the affair and who it was with. As I said, it is very weird and warped. My affair was with one of my young employees. He was 23 at the time. I was 36. This guy had a girlfriend. But the main reason that attracted me to this guy, or boy, was not because he was a young stud, but because his girlfriend looking eerily similar to one of my college mates. This college mate had a boyfriend who I had a crush on, and this girl somehow found that. After that, she made it a mission in her life to make me jealous. She would constantly cuddle with her boyfriend, gush about him, hold him, hug him, all in front of me. Needless to say, I was miserable. Miserable about an unrequited love. I cried myself to bed every night, kept his pictures, talked to the picture. Pathetic me. Just because of this crush, I went through my college life without any relationship. I don't want to embarrass myself with more details. Years later, I start my own HR consulting business and sometime later hire this young guy. No feelings in the beginning, both from our side. But it all changed when one day in one social gathering this guy brings his GF. I was dumbstruck. Memories came flooding back of my college days. Next day onward, I start to pry about the boy's girlfriend. Started by flirty question like, you two look cute, you are lucky. What draws you to her? The more he answered about his GF, the more it felt like this girl was exactly like my college mate. I now understand, in my then mental state I was projecting when these were two different people. You guys are now getting the drift. I get jealous. Again, become the hopeless pursuer. But this time because of my mature age and a confident businesswoman. I deal with this in a more tactful way. I got determined that I will have this boy to myself. And soon what follows is typical affair script. The affair went for 8 months before my husband found out. When I think back now, it's so disgusting how I acted. Comments. So, you cheated because you had a crush on someone in college that looked like this guy. There we have it, the absolute worst reason I ever heard about why someone cheated. Not that any reason is an okay reason to cheat on the one person who you vowed to love, but this one is just out there. You cheated because you wanted to? Honestly, I don't think too many people here give a damn about your sad sob story unless they are drama-induced, but you are so caught up in you that you refuse to deal with the issues. Take your selfish persona over to your husband and ask him what is wrong. You will never get repentance without remorse, and you really don't seem to have a lot of that. You have a lot of oh me. It's so hard. Your husband did what to you to deserve any of what you gave him? Sound like a whole bunch of nothing. You really should open your eyes and look at the world not from your perspective but the people you hurt. OP responds, you don't think I don't know that? You think I have not said any of this to my H? Yes, I have. All of it. With all its gory details. What do you think I tell him when I cry my eyes out in front of him? I have never blamed him. I fully admit my fallibility in this and how I am willing brought back the past to destroy my present and my future. I went to a psychiatrist. After discovery I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep for a long time. Eventually fell ill. The doctor told me to check a psychiatrist and referred one. I went there for a full year. I don't go regularly now, but I check in from time to time to review my course of medicines. I do this because, as you all see, I am under too much stress. I am not ready to tell my husband that I want a divorce. Not when he is so polite and civil with me about the matters of household. From outside no one will know that there is such a huge crater in our marriage. I am not going to tell the country where I am from, only that I come from a conservative culture. Ours was an arranged marriage. Relatives from both sides matched us. The first day I saw him I fell for his looks. Just like a man out of a Sidney Sheldon novel. After college I did enter into a relationship. But that failed partly due to my unsatisfaction in my mind. I always compared my then boyfriend with my college crush, so never really opened up to him. But when I saw my husband-to-be, I was floored. And more I got to know him before and after marriage, I fell in love. So yes, I was in love with my husband. Those 8 horrendous months won't change that. I thought I was over my college crush. I really did. I believe that I have met my man of dreams. I used to be a believer that whatever God does, He does it for the best. I believe that me not ending up with my crush was because God destined me ending up with this gorgeous man who is my husband. But I never realized how broken I was from inside before I saw the girlfriend of my lover. Another reason I am not ready to ask for divorce is our daughters absolutely love their dad. They worship him. He is their hero. I will not see my daughters hurt because I was a horrible mother. So, if that is the price I have to pay, I will pay for my daughter's happiness. Those of you asking if my husband is having an affair, I don't think so. He is never late, never hides his phone. But if he did, I would forgive him. And no, I have not even looked at a man on the street for these 3+ years. That evening he came home in a very jolly mood. He was chatting about a funny incident. We were all laughing. I was so happy to see him happy. The girls were climbing all over him and he was jostling with them. Our house was an abode of joy that night. During dinner we were still having laughs. I thought maybe this was the night. So, when girls were asleep, I tiptoed into his room, went up in bed and started to rub his chest. Started kissing his neck. He woke up, he gave me a smile, and he gave me such a loving look, but immediately his face changed and thinks I'm disgusting. I cannot even describe the bad taste and awfulness that I felt after that. Since then, I dared not initiate anybody contact with him. We talk, we stay civil. I never bring up the affair. He doesn't bring it up. We never talk about our feelings since that day. Maybe I can write him a letter and put my thoughts in there. But I wouldn't even know where to start. It's been 2 years since he and I have spoken about the affair. Our talks only revolve on our day-to-day lives, our children, and maybe sometimes about our workplaces. I do not bring up my workplace much because I know he can get angry about that. I am certainly not content with my situation. I want it to change. I want it to be loving and passionate between us. I want him to want me just like he used to. And I'm more than willing to be a freak in the bedroom for my husband. That doesn't mean I would just walk up to my husband and say, "Hey, sleep with me or I'm divorcing you." That type of threat will very well prompt him to do just divorce me. There must be other ways. And I have seen some people really give some good ideas without throwing divorce in between. People asking me to respect his wishes. All I have been doing is respecting his wishes since discovery. Laid off the guy, go sleep with my daughters. Tell him anything if he wanted to know. Taking his heat. Not opposing to anything that he proposed as part of our new living arrangement. You name it. I know this is passive and doesn't help a situation. But stand in my shoes. Take the hurtful words from your husband, cry and still give him assurance that I will never again do any such thing. What he needs from me to show that I am sorry, then face a complete stone wall. I just didn't know what to do that will calm his anger, so I figured I will just comply with whatever he wanted. I agree with you people. It's time I start engaging my husband. I need to know his feelings about us, how he sees our future, and what can I do to help. I will try to ask him these questions as kindly and softly as possible so that he feels safe. But before I ask these questions, I would let him know how much I love him and how I wish we were and what I plan to do on helping him heal so that he knows that I am not just expecting from him. I am fully willing to give it all to rebuild our lives together. Yesterday evening he came home very tired and with a lot of files in his hand. I asked him if everything was all right. He said the upcoming elections are putting too much strain on his office and the work has become more outdoor than indoor. On top of that, the files need to be reviewed before Monday. I quickly gave him a glass of cold water and fixed him some snack and tea. He asked me how my day was. I didn't want to add to his stress with my mental turmoil, so I said as usual. Then I offered him to help him with those files if he wanted. He smiled, so I said to him I may not know about tax structure much, but I file the tax returns for my own organization, so I may be of some help if he let me know what needs to be done with those files. He asked if this would hamper my work. I said absolutely not. I don't have very much on my hand right now. He then said okay, that will be great. So I left to let him rest. I will be very busy this weekend. About the other man's situation, you may choose to believe me or not, but I immediately wanted to fire the guy. It was my husband who disagreed, and from his standpoint it was completely understandable. Reacting in such a rash way would only have caused the guy to retaliate back. He would have told everyone in the office about the affair, and that would have echoed to my family members and then his family members. Because despite my affair, the was competent professionally, and there was no reason to fire him. The whole thing would have caused a huge scandal that would have affected our daughters too. So, it was my husband who proposed this arrangement. My husband is very practical and well respected in his circles. He didn't want anything that could harm his reputation and our daughters. But the day after discovery, I stopped any personal contact with the guy, and as soon as he was gone, I deleted his number from my phone and blocked him in Facebook. And it has been that way ever since. But I think now you will say that because I was not shamed in public. I didn't suffer any consequences. I have told my husband everything. The very reason I had the affair, I told him. He knows how long it was, how many times. I was not able to give exact number but an approximate one. What happened during the affair? What I was thinking, pure lust. I admitted, what we talked about. I never did anything extraordinary with the guy that I didn't do with my husband except 1 or 2 instances which I will not reveal because I understand people here are very bitter. It will give them another reason to lash. And those 1, 2 things are not physical in actual sense, so it is not possible for me to recreate that with my husband, should he choose to again be physical with me. You see, my physical relationship with my husband was equally lusty and chemistry was off the charts, if not more. I see him hurt every day even when he is silent. When he used to shout at me, that hurt was so much visible. It breaks my heart to know that I am the reason. I don't know if people are intentionally choosing to ignore my previous posts, but I have stated clearly that it's been 2 years since our communication has broken down completely except for household and children. That's the very reason I came here, to get an understanding that how I can restart that communication. I so want to help him heal, do whatever it takes. People asking me to jump right back into MC, please tell me how can I do that before I restart our communication. As for myself, I have been going to psychiatrist and I have gained some knowledge about my brokenness. But right now, if I try to force my dear husband to any sort of therapy, I know what his response will be. You had an affair and you want me to go to a mental clinic. We have not gone to marriage counsel. Not yet. I asked my husband many times. His first response was you sleep with someone else and I have to go to mental clinic. I explained it was not talking about mental problems but marital problems. He said even my grandmother can listen to both of our stories and decide who is right and who is wrong. You don't need to waste money for that. After subsequent times he has repeated said just no. After that I stopped asking and accepted my predicament. It was 2 years ago. Update. Last night was a night I will remember forever. There is a joke in our country that if you do very good deeds in your past life, you get rewarded with a government job in your present life. But next time anyone tells me this, he or she is going to get an earful from me. I mean, the paperwork my husband deals with is so monotonous, repetitive, and exhausting that I almost wanted to shout, "Oh God, not again. How many times do I have to do this?" I don't know how my dear husband continues to do this day after day and still keep his sanity. At the end, I said, "Oh, I need some air. I am going to the roof. Will you come?" He instantly replied me too. "Let's go." Before going to the roof, I took the bottle of scotch, a pack of cigarettes, an ice bucket and 2 glasses. He was surprised. I smiled and said, "What? I need this," and he gave me a wicked, and oh so sexy smile and said, "Of course you do." I poured for both of us and we sat down. We started chatting, not personal stuff but about the current state of affairs, the upcoming elections, our opinions of the political parties, etc. We both are very passionate about such topics and highly opinionated, but words flowed easily between us. We sat there for almost an hour and a half drinking and smoking. In the end he said that we should go down as it was late. As we were going down, he suddenly said, "Thanks for the help." I came near him and held his hand, our first affectionate body contact in almost 2 years, and said I liked it very much, spending time with you. I don't know, but maybe it was the alcohol that gave me the courage, but most importantly he didn't flinch like he used to. He let me hold his hand. Again, maybe it was the alcohol that brought some of his walls down. I literally had to summon all strength in my mind and body to stop myself from kissing his lips. As we parted, I was elated and jumping in joy in my mind. My heart was racing so fast that I was not able to sleep properly. I am so happy today. I will not give up hope till the last day of my life or till my husband finally gets fed up and starts the divorce. So yes, I will live like this if that is the case. I have to accept my punishment. I don't want to be pretentious, but I read an article where it said that there is too much emphasis on chemistry between a wife and husband nowadays. It's not a bad thing, having that chemistry. But the article tried to say it was not and all, the all for a marriage, because even in Europe and North America, husbands and wives rarely saw each other full naked before the 1960s. I love him very much, but it's not common in our culture to explicitly state I love you. Though we have said that to each other in our very intimate moments, it's rather shown through actions. Like, you have a bad fight with your hubby, but on the same day some guests come to your house. Instead of putting on a surly face, you do your best to be the best host. That shows your husband that you still love him enough not to damage his prestige in front of outsiders. And my hubby has kept my prestige many times even after finding about my betrayal. Whenever my side of family had come to visit us in our house, he has been the most gracious and courteous host to them. He never once revealed his anger about me to them. That itself shows me that there is still love in his heart for me. Story 2. Husband and I have been married for about 7 months. We met about 2 years before we got married. Initially he wasn't very truthful and had presented himself as never married. We'd been dating a month and he revealed he'd been divorced. His ex had left him only 5 months before he started talking to me. Their divorce was finalized about 2 months after we started dating. I know, I shouldn't have overlooked it, but at the time he seemed like such a sweet guy and I felt bad for him. I later asked him about it and he said his ex went on a trip with her girlfriends. When she came back, she was different. Told him she met someone else and was no longer in love. She served him with papers. Anyway, he was incredible. He was so fun-loving, generous. He wined and dined me, was generous with my family. The only odd thing was that he didn't talk much about his childhood or family. But again, I overlooked it. We had a great relationship and seemed to have so many things in common. We got engaged in early 2018, a year and 3 months after we started dating. In the months following we had a few arguments that were chalked up to stress from wedding plans and etc. He totally changed after we got married. There was animosity towards my parents, especially my mom, who is a sweet, generous person. We moved about 90 miles away from them and at the time part of me wondered if he was trying to isolate me, although I'd fallen in love with the area to which we moved. He grew very controlling and verbally, emotionally abusive. He'd talk down to me like I was a child. Even when I was sick, I caught a bug on our honeymoon. He was a workaholic and for a couple of months he wouldn't come home sometimes until after 9 or 10 p.m. He's in the accounting field and I know things would get busy at certain times. But still, he was also very sarcastic and whenever I'd calmly confront him about his behavior, he'd get very defensive or twist things around to make it sound like I was the one with the problem. He also likes to drink quite a bit. He wouldn't usually drink during the week, but on the weekends, Friday, Saturday and Sunday, he'd have at least 5 drinks a night. Sometimes he seemed uptight and like he needed the alcohol to relax. He actually picked a fight with my mom on Thanksgiving. She was helping us out by giving us a few things for the house, which we hadn't been in long. He has problems accepting not only gifts but offers of help from anyone in general. He's apparently been on his own for a while and seems to see getting help as a sign of weakness. I think it comes down to his controlling personality. He's also extremely stubborn and won't compromise. I should mention that I accidentally stumbled across his ex's public Facebook page. I did a search for one of my interests and she ended up sharing it with me. She had a blog linked on it. Out of curiosity, over the interests thing, I clicked on it. She'd posted about him and said they were only married for a year because he was verbally abusive. I never told him that I found her blog and I never sought contact with her in any way. I know you sometimes have to take what people say with a grain of salt, but what she said gave me pause over how he was treating me. I've been seeing a counselor since at least late Sept early Oct, and he suspects my hubby has some OCD. He is a neat freak who will, as an example, reorganize our pantry to obsessive levels. And narcissistic personality disorder. I've brought this up to hubby as delicately as possible, and he denies he has a problem. He wouldn't go with me to counseling. He'd just say no, because I don't want to go. I don't think there's a problem. Finally, after I told him I love him so much I want to make this work, he begrudgingly agreed to go. He went with me twice, was on his best behavior both times. He wouldn't go anymore after that. When I brought that up to him, he lied and said I never mentioned it anymore. Which is bullcrap. Every time we've fought, I've told him we need to go and he'd either change the subject or ignore me. I can also tell when he doesn't like something I bring up because he withdraws and gets very cold. He will just give me short, abrupt answers or get very sarcastic. Then he denies there is a problem. He plays mind games. He tells me I'm too sensitive. Yes, I am quite sensitive, but he is insensitive. I don't think he pays attention to what I say sometimes. I'll say something, he'll jump down my throat and take it the wrong way or claim I said something else. I think he just hears what he wants to hear. It's gotten so bad from late Nov onwards. For a few months we've been fighting at least once a week. End of March it was more than that. We adopted a puppy, or rather I did, as he didn't really want her and I paid for everything. Signed the papers, and things got worse. His OCD was really on display then. He treated the dog like a prisoner, and I could tell he let me get her just to appease me, even though he talked up getting a dog before we were even married. I finally told him I was going down to my parents the week before Easter for a couple of weeks. That I needed time and space to think. His answer, "Why wait until then? Why you don't just go now?" We had planned to go to his dad's. His mom died over 10 years ago. House for Easter. He claimed his dad wouldn't mind. On March 31st I packed as many things as I could in my car along with the dog and drove down to my parents. Since I've been here, I've felt so much better. I was dealing with so much stress and tension with him. I was hardly sleeping. I was having stomach problems. We'd have a huge fight, then there'd be the honeymoon period where he'd make nice to me. But then the tension would build and he'd go back to his old self. It was a never-ending cycle. I talked to him on the phone yesterday and told him this wasn't working and I think it's best if we part ways. He said, "Don't say that, honey." He said he didn't know I was this upset, that he didn't understand the depth of it. Every time we had a fight I would get really upset, tell him he was going to drive me out of the house and how I'm finding it really hard to live with him. I can't believe he didn't see how upset I was. He's very unemotional, so when he started to sniffle on the phone it was hard for me to even think it was sincere. I told him I was done. He sent me an email this morning that he knows I said we're done, but he wanted me to think about taking a vacation together for a week and remembering why we fell in love. The bottom line is, he is not the man I fell in love with. I fell in love with an imposter. I think he spoiled me and told me all I wanted to hear just to hook me. I felt I had to leave him just to preserve my sanity and my health. I can't live with this guy. He says he'll change and go for counseling, but he's said this before and he just doesn't change. I don't know if he wants to change or if he's capable of it. I want to look into getting a mediator because I want this to be as amicable as possible. He also asked if we could do a separation for maybe 3 months. I think he really needs help and it's not something that can be fixed in only 3 months. I really want a divorce. Am I being fair? I know we've been married less than 8 months, but he really fooled me. Not just me, but my family and friends as well. I've tried to see things from his point of perspective. I've been patient. I've tried to understand where he's coming from. But he is just impossible to live with. I've tried to talk to him, but he insists he's doing nothing wrong and it's all my fault or my perception of his behavior. It recently got to the point where I was crying nearly every day and, on the phone, I'd tell my mom that I'm in hell. I used to dream of having a nice family life with him, having kids and everything, but I can't even do that. If his OCD, controlling nature is out of whack with a dog, I can't see how it would be any better with kids. When I told him I was leaving to go down to my parents, I was literally counting down the days till that Saturday. I felt such relief the moment I got on the road, more when I arrived at their house, and that night I slept like a baby, like night and day. I do not miss his BS one bit. He even asked me on the phone, "Are you saying you don't love me?" Heck yeah. The love I had for him he chipped away until there was nothing left. A month later, update. Of course, after I took back the rest of my personal belongings, hubby sends me an email telling me he was preparing to write a long email to send me about how we can move forward. Wonder what that means to him, but after yesterday he assumes I'm not interested. He kept begging me to let him know if I change my mind because he's 100% willing and he loves me with all his heart and soul, etc. I sent him a short reply saying that I just left the wedding gifts and we can talk another time about how to divide those up. He seemed to accept that, but I knew he wasn't done. Yesterday he emailed again asking if there's a glimmer of a chance that I'd like to at least talk about giving us another chance. He reiterated that he's 100% willing and will do whatever it takes, tells me I don't have to commit to anything. He says he truly loves me and wants to build a life with me and hopes deep down I feel the same about him. Of course, if I don't, he'll respect my wishes. This is the same garbage he did as we were dating. He was so accommodating so he'd give me this false sense of security. I'm not falling for it. I told him point blank that my mind is made up. We're too different. I don't believe he can change and I'm not going to change to suit his needs. It would just get worse over time and harder the longer we wait. I said it's best that we move on. He replies to me like he's doing one of his stupid PowerPoint presentations for work. First telling me he doesn't agree we're too different and to consider that we were just getting used to being married. He was married once before. B. Getting used to live together, and C. I was getting used to being far away from home and getting a new job, which I didn't get until 4 months after we'd been married. That it's no surprise there's been a strain. He obviously won't own up to his behavior and he tries to guilt trip me by whining that he can't believe I want to throw it all away so soon, after all we've done to get up to this point. Whine, whine, whine. I get so angry when I read his emails now. I keep thinking I wasted 7 months of my life with this idiot. How he played me and my family and friends for fools. That keeps me on track to end this whole mess and keep from ever weakening. I really want to go the mediator route as I'm involved in another court case. An accident case that's been going on about 5 years now. And doubt I'll be able to afford a lawyer. We really don't have many things to fight over. Only thing is the house is in both our names. A friend told me that for that reason alone we'd have to get a lawyer. As far as I'm concerned, he can take the house and shove it. I really don't care as long as he's out of my life. You guys got any divorce advice for the second OP? And for the first story, OP stopped posting updates because people were keep telling her that she was selfish and she needs to leave instead of waiting to get divorced. What advice you got for both of these stories? Comment down below and keep looking up.
That's it for this video, guys. If you have thoughts to share, leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you like this content. I'll catch you in the next one. Good day, everyone.